Welcome back in. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us here in the Outkick Studios, Wednesday edition, as we break down the Final Four officially being complete. When a train hits a vehicle at a railway crossing, the results are often deadly. Be cautious at crossings, and if the signals are going, don't be tempted to try and sneak across the tracks, even if you don't see a train. Stop, trains can't. Brought to you by the NHTSA. I appreciate all of you hanging out with us. I hope that you are not feeling like you have been hit by a train because those games ended so late last night. And if you are a gambler, as I know many of our listeners are, we went 1-1 last night. Dub, what was your guarantee? Do you remember?
Well, my guarantee was something that I ended up not even betting. I agreed with you on USC, but in the end, I couldn't pull the trigger, and I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, well, you told everybody else to pull the trigger, which is ultimate indictment. I lost the USC game. I won on the UCLA game. I got to be honest with you. Again, we are drastically underrating the Zags. I think we should have paid more attention, in my opinion. Ken Pomeroy is a basketball savant. He's a basketball nerd in many ways, and I say that in a very affectionate way. He breaks down every game and catalogs them and historically analyzes where teams rate based on their offensive and defensive efficiencies historically. And this Gonzaga offense is one of the all-time great historic college basketball offenses. And again, we talked about this to start off the hour, maybe because they are so under the radar. I gave you 4 big reasons why the Zags are not getting the same amount of attention for being undefeated as a typically dominant team of their magnitude would. I mean, imagine right now if Duke or Kentucky or UNC or Kansas or any Big 5 power conference team that has had historic success in the NCAA tournament, if they were undefeated, this would have been a story that was impossible to miss for most of January and February and March. And not only are the Zags undefeated, but they are absolutely destroying everyone that they are playing in an incredibly impressive magnitude. And so to win 29 out of 30 games by double digits and be sitting now, and I was looking at this just a few minutes ago, a 13.5-point favorite. And let me go ahead and tell you, I mean, if Santa Clay is going to come to town, they bumped themselves all the way up to 14. Who knows where this number may end up setting, because the Zags have not only won every NCAA tournament game so far, they have covered in every NCAA tournament game so far. The number's kind of dancing around 13.5 or 14 points. You can bet $5 right now on Gonzaga to win this game against UCLA, and you are going to get back $200. This is an incredible offer when you consider that the Zags are 14-point favorites, which is one of the biggest favorites we have ever seen in the history of the Final Four. Could they be upset? Sure, anything can happen, but this would be a monumental upset, the likes of which we have frankly not seen in the NCAA tournament in the Final Four in a long, long, long time. So this will be intriguing to see. Dub, you probably heard my analysis of the fact that we have drastically undercovered the Zags so far this season. What do you think about my criteria for why we have? Anything else that you would add? And do you agree with me that we have given them far too little attention in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, I'll start there. In terms of the attention, it has been just mad disrespectful, the lack of attention that they get as a program. And I think the West Coast aspect of it, I think, is a major reason. Like you said, most of the viewers on television are on the East Coast. They don't stay up late, hardly to even watch an NFL game that ends at 11:30, let alone a Gonzaga basketball game. And secondly, your analogy in terms of the blue bloods, if a blue blood was doing what they're doing, I don't even think it would have to be a blue blood.
Just a Power 5 conference team, I think.
I mean, if like Texas or Oklahoma or, Arkansas went undefeated, I think that'd be a major story throughout the year, at least, in my opinion.
Just compare it to what happened, I think it was in 2015, right? I believe it was in 2015 when Kentucky was undefeated entering into the Final Four. And they lost. Was it the Final Four? I think it was the Final Four they lost to Wisconsin, wasn't it? Or was it the Elite Eight?
I think it was the Final Four. They made it to the Final Four.
Yeah, so they lost in the national semifinal, the Final Four game. And I remember Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken, lost to Duke in that championship game. Like a couple of days later, they couldn't complete their run to a national title. I think it was 2015, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's been 6 years since that happened. You couldn't escape the Kentucky Wildcat undefeated team, and there was so much discussion about Bobby Knight's 1976 undefeated Indiana Hoosiers team and whether Kentucky was going to be able to join them in the all-time undefeated ranks. Well, 6 years later, the Zags have an incredible chance. They are the favorite to advance and win the national championship themselves as well. And yet I feel like we have talked about them a tiny fraction of the amount of time. And by the way, if you are out there listening to me right now, Dub, you love to gamble. How fortunate for FanDuel right now, 40-1 on Gonzaga is one of the all-time great deals that's ever existed in gambling.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, 40-1, that's like the Colts winning the Super Bowl this year, and you're getting it for free, essentially.
Yeah. $5 to win $200. So I encourage you to go check that out. I also encourage you, go download the podcast. We had our biggest podcast download ever last Friday. Biggest and best day ever. You can search out my name, Clay Travis. We're on Google Play. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. You can't miss this show. Encourage you to go check it out. FanDuel.com/Clay is where you can sign up for the best bets. But you can search out my name, Clay Travis. You can search out Outkick, and you can sign up for the podcast right now.